Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, you are invited to rest. The rain will fall, the forest will breathe, and you will be gently carried into sleep. This story comes from Sleep Drift Tales, a place for calm, for peace, and for your deepest rest. If you feel the comfort here, let yourself stay with us. Gently subscribe, and let more nights like this find you. And if you'd like, share with us where in the world you are listening from. We would love to know where these moments of rest are reaching. Now, let the story begin. Let the forest hold you, and let the night bring you home to sleep. You are walking through the forest now. Your feet find the soft earth beneath them, each step sinking slightly into the moss and fallen leaves. The trees rise around you like gentle giants, their branches reaching up toward a sky that grows darker with each passing moment. You carry your pack on your shoulders, not heavy, just present, the weight of it familiar and comforting against your back. Inside are the simple things you need: your tent, your sleeping bag, water, a small amount of food. Nothing more than what the forest asks of you. The air smells of pine and earth and something else, something that speaks of rain coming. You breathe in deeply. The scent fills your lungs, cool and clean and alive. Each breath draws more of the forest into you, and with each exhale, you release the day that has passed, the thoughts that have been circling in your mind like leaves on the wind. You walk deeper into the trees. The path beneath your feet is not really a path at all, just the spaces between the trunks where walking feels natural, where the forest opens itself to you. You move slowly, in no hurry to reach any destination other than the place where you will rest. Above you, the canopy shifts and whispers, branches moving against each other with the softest of sounds. The leaves rustle with a voice that is almost like breathing, almost like the ocean, almost like rain. You pause now and listen. The forest is not silent. It never is. There are small sounds everywhere, if you know how to hear them. The settling of bark as the temperature drops, the distant call of a bird finding its roost for the night, the soft pad of some small creature moving through the undergrowth, going about its evening business. And underneath it all, you hear your own breathing, steady and calm and present. You continue walking. The trees grow taller here, older there, trunks wide and deeply grooved with age. Some of them have stood in this place for longer than you can imagine, through seasons and years and decades, through storms and calm, through the endless cycle of growth and rest that the forest knows so well. You place your hand against the bark of one of these ancient trees. The surface is rough under your palm, textured with ridges and valleys that tell the story of its long life. You can feel the solidness of it, the way it stands rooted in the earth, patient and enduring. For a moment, you imagine you can feel the slow pulse of its life, the patient drawing of water up from the roots, the quiet circulation of sap, the steady breath of photosynthesis that has continued year after year. You breathe with the tree, in, and the air fills your lungs as the tree draws water from the earth, out, and you release your breath as the tree releases oxygen into the evening air. For these few moments, you and the tree breathe together, part of the same cycle, the same rhythm of life that moves through all things. When you lift your hand from the bark and continue walking, you carry some of that steadiness with you. The sky above the canopy grows darker now. Not the darkness of night, but the rich, heavy darkness that comes before rain. You can feel it in the air, the way the humidity rises, the way the temperature drops just slightly, the way the very atmosphere seems to hold its breath in anticipation. You know you need to find your place to rest soon. You move through the trees with more purpose now, though still without hurry. Your eyes scan the ground ahead of you, looking for the right spot, level enough for your tent, sheltered enough to provide some protection, open enough to feel spacious and free. And then you find it. The clearing opens before you like a natural amphitheater, a circle of level ground surrounded by tall trees, their trunks forming a protective ring around the space. The earth here is soft with decades of fallen leaves, and when you kneel and brush away the top layer, you find the ground beneath is firm and even. This is where you will rest tonight. You slip the pack from your shoulders and set it gently on the ground. Relief of removing the weight feels good, not because the pack was heavy, but because setting it down marks the beginning of your evening ritual, the transition from walking to resting. You open the pack and remove your tent. The fabric unfolds in your hands, lightweight and strong, the color of sage or sea glass, something that belongs in this forest setting. You have set up this tent many times before, and your hands know the movements without thought, spreading the fabric, connecting the poles, securing the stakes. But tonight you move even more slowly than usual. Tonight each movement is deliberate and mindful. You feel the texture of the tent fabric under your fingers. You notice the way the poles slide together with a small clicking sound. You pay attention to the gentle resistance of the earth as you push each stake into the ground. This is meditation through simple action, the kind of presence that comes not from sitting still, but from being fully engaged with the task at hand. As you work, the first drops of rain begin to fall. They are so light at first that you almost don't notice them. Just a few drops landing on your shoulders, on the back of your hands, on the tent fabric as you stretch it taut. But then you hear them, the softest of tapping sounds as they touch the leaves above you. Pause in your work and look up. Through the gaps in the canopy, you can see the sky has turned, the deep gray blue of approaching rain. The clouds move slowly overhead, heavy with water, ready to release their burden onto the thirsty earth. Below, you smile and continue setting up your tent. There is something perfect about the timing, the way you are creating shelter just as the shelter becomes needed. It feels like a conversation between you and the sky, a natural rhythm that you have somehow stepped into without planning. The rain begins to fall more steadily now. You hear it first in the leaves above, a gentle pattering that starts soft and gradually grows more substantial. Then you hear it on your tent as you finish securing the last stake. The distinctive sound of rain on fabric, muffled and intimate. You have always loved this sound. There is something about rain on canvas that speaks to something deep inside you, something primitive and comforting, like the memory of being protected in the womb, or sheltered in a cave, or held in the arms of someone who loves you. It is the sound of safety, of boundaries between you and the world, of being held. You finish setting up your tent and stand back to admire your work. The small structure sits perfectly in the clearing, its sage-colored walls rising gently from the earth. Rain beads on the fabric surface and rolls down to drip from the edges, creating a soft curtain of water around your shelter. Already, the tent looks like it belongs here, like it has grown from the forest floor itself. You gather your pack and duck inside. The interior of the tent is dim and cozy, a small world contained within fabric walls. The sound of rain is louder here, more immediate, as if you are sitting inside a gentle drum. Each drop that hits the tent creates its own small note, and together they form a symphony of percussion that surrounds you completely. You sit cross-legged in the center of the tent and simply listen. The rain has found its rhythm now. Not heavy, not violent, but steady and persistent. It falls on your tent with a sound like soft applause, like gentle breathing, like the whisper of some ancient language you understand without translation. You close your eyes and let the sound wash over you. In the darkness behind your eyelids, you can picture the rain falling on the forest around you. You can see it touching the leaves of the tall trees, running down their bark in small rivers, pooling in the cups of flowers and the hollows of stones. You can imagine it soaking into the earth, feeding the roots, joining the underground streams that flow beneath your feet. You are part of this cycle now, sitting here in your tent, listening to the rain, connected to the water and the earth and the sky in a way that feels both new and ancient. You open your pack and remove your sleeping bag. The fabric rustles softly as you unfold it, a warm, welcoming sound that promises comfort and rest. The sleeping bag is filled with down that compresses and expands with your movements, creating small puffs of air that smell faintly of the outdoors and adventure. You spread the sleeping bag across the floor of your tent, taking time to smooth it out, to make sure it lies flat and even. This too is part of the ritual, the careful preparation of your bed, the creation of the space where you will rest and dream. The rain continues its gentle drumming on the tent walls. You remove your shoes and set them carefully near the entrance of the tent. Your feet are tired from the day's walking, and it feels good to wiggle your toes, to flex your ankles, to let your feet breathe in the cool air of the tent. You roll up a piece of clothing to use as a pillow and place it at the head of your sleeping bag. Everything is ready now. You sit on top of your sleeping bag and listen to the rain. Really listen, with your whole attention focused on the sound. You notice how it varies slightly in intensity, how sometimes the drops seem to fall faster, sometimes slower, how the sound changes as the wind shifts the angle at which the rain meets your tent. This is better than any music you have ever heard. There is no melody in the conventional sense, no rhythm that you can count or predict. Instead, there is something deeper, a pattern that exists below the level of conscious thought, a pulse that matches something fundamental in your body, in your breathing, in the slow rhythm of your heart. You begin to prepare for sleep. You change into comfortable clothes, soft fabrics that feel gentle against your skin. Each movement is slow and deliberate, part of the gradual transition from the active day to the restful night. Outside, the rain continues its patient drumming. You can hear it running off the edges of your tent now, creating small streams that flow away into the forest. You can imagine the earth drinking it in, the plants and trees welcoming the water after the heat of the day. You slide into your sleeping bag. The interior is cool at first, but your body heat begins to warm it immediately. The down insulation cradles you softly, creating a cocoon of comfort around your tired body. You pull the sleeping bag up to your chin and feel the soft fabric against your skin. This is perfect. You lie on your back and listen to the rain above you. From inside your sleeping bag, the sound is even more muffled, even more intimate. It creates a boundary between you and the world. Not a barrier, but a gentle filter that makes everything soft and distant and peaceful. You close your eyes. The sound of rain becomes your entire world now. Each drop a small pulse of sound that washes through your consciousness. You don't try to count the drops or analyze the rhythm. You simply let the sound fill your awareness, replacing thoughts and worries with its gentle, persistent voice. Your breathing begins to slow and deepen. Each inhale draws in the cool, moist air of the tent, air that smells faintly of rain and earth and the green scent of growing things. Each exhale releases tension from your body, letting go of the accumulated stress of the day. You breathe in rhythm with the rain, in as a particularly full gust of drops hits the tent, out as the sound diminishes slightly. Your breathing and the rain begin to synchronize, creating a deeper pattern of rest and release. Your body sinks more deeply into the sleeping bag. The down molds itself around your shape, supporting your weight and cradling your tired muscles. You feel yourself melting into the softness, your edges becoming blurred, your sense of where you end and the sleeping bag begins growing dim. The rain continues its gentle song. You notice how the sound seems to be coming from everywhere now, not just from above, but from all around you. The tent walls channel the sound inward, creating an acoustic environment that wraps around you like another layer of protection. This is the sound of safety. This is the sound of being held by the earth and sky, of being part of the natural cycle of rain and growth and rest. You are exactly where you belong, sheltered but not separate, protected but still connected to the living world around you. Your thoughts begin to slow and drift. The concerns of the day seem very far away now, muted by the rain and the darkness and the gentle boundaries of your tent. Whatever was troubling you before you entered the forest seems to belong to another world, another version of yourself that existed in a place where there was no rain, no tent, no sleeping bag to hold you. You let those thoughts go. Each one dissolves into the sound of rain, washed away by the persistent, gentle rhythm that surrounds you. There is no need to hold onto anything, Now accept this moment, this perfect, simple moment of lying in your sleeping bag, listening to rain fall on your tent, breathing the cool forest air. Your body grows heavier. Your arms and legs sink more deeply into the sleeping bag, as if the down is drawing you downward, deeper into rest. Your muscles release their tension one by one. First your feet, then your calves, then your thighs. Each part of your body letting go of the effort of holding itself up, of moving through the world, of carrying you through the day. The rain is constant now, not heavy, not violent, but steady and reliable. A sound you can trust to continue, to be there when you wake in the night, to accompany your dreams with its gentle percussion. It asks nothing of you except to listen, to rest, to let yourself be held by its rhythm. You turn on your side and curl up in your sleeping bag. This position feels even more protective, even more womb-like. Your knees bend, your arms fold. Your whole body curves into itself like a sleeping animal. The sleeping bag follows your movement, maintaining its gentle embrace around your new position. The sound of rain seems even closer now. With your ear pressed against the pillow, you can hear it through the ground as well as through the air. A deeper vibration that passes through the earth and up into your body. You are surrounded by the sound, immersed in it, bathed in the gentle rhythm that connects you to the sky and the earth and everything in between. This is meditation without effort. This is prayer without words. This is the kind of peace that doesn't come from trying to be peaceful, but from simply allowing yourself to be exactly where you are, exactly as you are, in this moment that contains nothing but rain and breath and the soft embrace of your sleeping bag. Your eyelids grow heavy. The darkness behind your closed eyes deepens, becoming richer and more welcoming. Thoughts pass through your mind like clouds across the sky, present for a moment, then gone, replaced by others that are equally insubstantial and temporary. The rain washes them all away. Each drop that falls on your tent carries away another fragment of the day's accumulation, another worry, another plan, another thing you thought you needed to remember. The rain is patient and persistent, washing everything clean, leaving only this moment, only this breath, only this gentle sound that holds you like a lullaby. You breathe more slowly now. The spaces between your breaths grow longer, more peaceful. Your body has found its natural rhythm for sleep, the deep, slow breathing that allows every cell to rest, every muscle to release, every system to slow down and restore itself. The rain matches your breathing, or perhaps your breathing matches the rain. It's hard to tell which. All you know is that you and the rain and the forest around you are breathing together now. Part of the same rhythm, the same cycle of expansion and contraction that moves through all living things. Your sleeping bag feels like water around you, not wet but fluid, as if you are floating in a warm, gentle current that supports you completely. You don't need to hold yourself up or worry about falling. The sleeping bag and the earth beneath you create a perfect cradle that holds you without effort. The tent walls seem to pulse gently with the rain, in and out, in and out. A slow breathing that makes your shelter feel alive, like the inside of some great, gentle creature that has taken you into its heart for protection. You are safe here, held here, loved here by forces larger and older than yourself. You sink deeper into rest. Your consciousness begins to drift between sleeping and waking, not fully in either state, but floating in the peaceful space between them. This is the threshold of sleep, the doorway between the day's activities and the night's restoration. The rain is your guide across this threshold. Its steady rhythm creates a bridge between the waking world and the world of dreams. You don't need to do anything but listen, breathe, and let yourself be carried across on the sound of water falling on fabric, falling on earth, falling into the quiet darkness that welcomes you. Time seems to slow and stretch. Minutes might be passing, or hours, you can't tell, and don't need to. Time belongs to the world outside your tent, to the world of schedules and appointments and urgent things that need to be done. Here, in your sleeping bag, listening to the rain, there is only the eternal present moment that expands to contain everything you need. Your body temperature is perfect now. The sleeping bag has warmed to match your body heat exactly, creating a microclimate of comfort around you. You are neither too hot nor too cold, but perfectly balanced, like a baby in the womb, held at exactly the right temperature for growth and rest. The rain continues its gentle percussion. Each drop is both individual and part of the whole, a single note in a symphony that has no beginning and no end. You could listen to this sound forever and never grow tired of it. Never want it to stop. Never wish for anything other than this perfect acoustic environment that surrounds and protects you. Your breathing becomes almost imperceptible. The rhythm slows until each breath seems to last an eternity. A long, slow inhale that brings peace and oxygen deep into your body, followed by an equally long, slow exhale that releases everything you don't need to carry into your dreams. The sound of rain begins to merge with the sound of your own pulse. You can feel your heart beating slowly and steadily in your chest, and somehow its rhythm matches the rhythm of the drops falling on your tent. Or perhaps the rain has slowed to match your heartbeat. It's impossible to tell where you end and the storm begins. This is the kind of peace that comes from complete surrender, not giving up, but giving in, allowing yourself to be held by forces larger than your individual will. The rain, the earth, the darkness, your sleeping bag, all of these things are holding you now, creating a net of support that you can trust completely. You don't need to stay awake any longer. There is nothing you need to watch for, nothing you need to guard against, nothing you need to accomplish before you sleep. The rain will continue whether you are awake to hear it or not. The tent will continue to shelter you whether you are conscious of its protection or not. The earth will continue to support you whether you are aware of its presence or not. You can let go now. You can release your grip on consciousness and let yourself drift into the deeper waters of sleep. The rain will be there when you wake, perhaps softer, perhaps different, but still present, still drumming its gentle rhythm on the fabric walls of your shelter. Your last conscious thought dissolves into the sound of rain. The drops falling on your tent become the drops falling in your dreams. Sometimes gentle, sometimes strong, always present, always protective. You sleep now not just in your sleeping bag, but in the embrace of the storm itself, cradled by the sound that has become the rhythm of your own breathing, your own heartbeat, your own descent into the deepest peace. The rain continues through the night, and you sleep. You wake slowly, not to silence, but to the sound of rain still falling on your tent. The rhythm has changed during the night. What was steady and consistent when you fell asleep has become gentler, more varied. Sometimes a soft patter, sometimes barely audible, sometimes rising to a stronger drumming before settling back into whispers. You don't open your eyes immediately. Instead, you lie in your sleeping bag and listen to this new voice of the rain. More complex now, more conversational. It speaks in sentences rather than single words, telling stories in the spaces between drops, painting pictures in the pauses between sounds. Your body is perfectly warm inside the down cocoon. During the night, you have found the ideal position, curled on your side, one arm tucked under your makeshift pillow, the other resting along your body. Your knees are slightly bent, your spine curved in a gentle arc that follows the natural contours of rest. You breathe deeply and smell the forest. The rain has awakened every scent in the woods around you. Through the fabric of your tent comes the rich, complex fragrance of wet earth. Not just soil, but the deep, living smell of decomposing leaves, growing roots, mushrooms and moss, and the 1,000 small plants that make their home in the forest floor. This is the breath of the forest itself. Each inhale brings new layers of scent. The clean smell of rain-washed bark, the green freshness of leaves heavy with water, the earthy richness of soil that has been drinking all night. You breathe in the essence of the living world around you, drawing it into your lungs, letting it become part of you. You open your eyes slowly. The interior of your tent is dim but not dark, filled with the gray-green light that filters through rain clouds and forest canopy. The fabric walls seem to glow softly with this diffused illumination, creating an atmosphere that is both intimate and ethereal. You can see your breath in the cool air. Small puffs of vapor rise from your mouth and nose, visible for just a moment before they dissolve into the tense atmosphere. Each breath creates a small cloud that catches the dim light, reminding you that you are alive, present, part of the circulation of air and water that moves through this forest. Outside, you hear the rain changing again. Sometimes it falls straight down in steady drops. Sometimes the wind shifts it, sending it against the tent walls at different angles. Sometimes it seems to pause completely, not stopping, but becoming so light that individual drops can no longer be distinguished, becoming instead a fine mist that whispers rather than drums. You sit up slowly in your sleeping bag. The movement creates small rustles in the down-filling, gentle sounds that blend with the rain outside. Your body feels rested but not fully awake, existing in that peaceful state between sleep and full. Consciousness where everything seems possible and nothing seems urgent. You reach for your water bottle and take a slow drink. The water is cool and clean, and it seems to connect you to the rain falling outside, as if you are part of the same cycle, the same circulation of moisture that moves from sky to earth to body to sky again. You are not separate from the storm, but part of it, drinking the same water that falls on your tent, breathing the same air that carries the rain. The light in your tent grows slightly brighter, not the brightness of direct sunlight, but the gentle illumination of morning filtered through clouds and leaves and the ever-present rain. This is forest light, soft and green-tinted, the kind of light that makes everything look peaceful and alive. You unzip your sleeping bag partially and let the cool air touch your skin. The temperature difference is pleasant. Your body warm from the night's sleep, the air cool and moist with humidity from the rain. You feel the contrast without discomfort, aware of the boundary between your inner warmth and the outer coolness. You listen more carefully now to the sounds beyond the rain. There are other voices in the forest morning, subtle sounds that weave between the drops and under the steady patter on your tent. You hear the soft drip of water falling from branch to branch, the gentle swish of wet leaves moving in the breeze, the distant call of a bird that doesn't mind singing in the rain. These sounds create layers beneath the rain, a symphony where the precipitation is the dominant instrument, but not the only one. You close your eyes and try to separate the sounds, to hear each one individually while still appreciating how they blend together into the larger music of the forest. It's like listening to a complex piece of music and trying to follow a single instrument, while still hearing the whole composition. The rain on your tent, steady and immediate. The drip from the trees irregular and musical, like water falling into still pools. The wind in the branches, a soft rushing sound that rises and falls with the movement of air through leaves and bark. Your own breathing, slow and even, a rhythm that underlies all the others. And beneath everything, a deeper sound, not quite silence, but the absence of human noise. No traffic, no machinery, no voices. Just the sound of the natural world going about its business, unburdened by the urgency and anxiety that often fill human spaces. This is the sound of peace. You reach for your clothes and begin to dress slowly. Each movement is deliberate and mindful, pulling on soft layers that will keep you comfortable in the cool, humid air. The fabric feels good against your skin, and you take time to smooth out wrinkles, to adjust the fit, to make sure everything sits comfortably. You are in no hurry. The rain will continue whether you dress quickly or slowly. The forest will be there whether you emerge from your tent now or an hour from now. There is no schedule here except the natural rhythm of your own body, the gentle urgency of hunger or thirst, or the need to move and stretch. You unzip the tent entrance slightly and look outside. The forest is transformed by the rain. Everything glistens with moisture. Every leaf, every branch, every blade of grass. The colors seem deeper and richer than they did yesterday evening. The greens more vibrant, the browns more complex, the grays more subtle and varied. Water drips everywhere, from the tips of pine needles, from the edges of broad leaves, from the bark of trees where rivulets have formed and are flowing slowly downward. The ground is dark with moisture, and small puddles reflect the gray sky above the canopy. This is a world made new by rain. You can see your breath in the cool morning air as you poke your head outside the tent. The humidity is almost tangible. You feel like you could reach out and touch the moisture that fills the space between the trees. The smell is even stronger outside your tent. The forest's breath is rich and complex, layers of scent that speak of growth and decay, life and death, the endless cycle of renewal that rain makes possible. You breathe deeply, filling your lungs with this essence of the living world. You duck back into your tent and finish getting dressed. The interior feels cozy and protective after the brief exposure to the cool, moist air outside. Your sleeping bag still holds the warmth of your body, and you feel the contrast between the small, controlled environment of your shelter and the vast, wild world beyond its walls. But you are ready to join that world now. Pack your sleeping bag carefully, compressing the down slowly, so as not to damage the delicate filaments that provide its warmth. The familiar ritual of packing is meditative. Each item has its place, each fold and compression deliberate and practiced. Outside, the rain continues its patient conversation with the forest. You can hear it more clearly now, not just the drops hitting your tent, but the whole percussion section of the storm. Rain on leaves creates one sound, rain on bark another, rain on the soft forest floor yet another. Together they form a complex rhythm that seems to have no beginning and no end. You roll up your sleeping pad and store it in your pack. Each movement is slow and mindful. You are not rushing toward any destination, but simply preparing to move from one kind of presence to another. From the enclosed presence of your tent to the open presence of walking in the rain-soaked forest. You put on your rain jacket, not because the rain is harsh, but because becoming part of the storm means dressing appropriately for the conversation. The jacket is lightweight but waterproof, designed to keep you dry, while still allowing you to move freely. When you zip it up, you feel like you are putting on a second skin, one that will allow you to exist comfortably in the rain without being soaked by it. You are almost ready to leave your tent, but first you sit quietly for a few more minutes, listening to the rain, breathing the moist air, feeling the gentle boundaries that your shelter has provided through the night. This tent has been your protection, your intimate space, your connection point between your human need for shelter and the larger world of the forest. You feel grateful for this small structure. It has held the rain above you, kept the wind from disturbing your sleep, provided a sense of safety and enclosure that allowed you to rest deeply. Now it will be taken down and packed away, but the memory of its protection will remain. You unzip the tent entrance fully and step outside. The rain touches your face immediately, not heavy drops, but a fine spray that seems to hang in the air itself. Your rain jacket sheds the water, but your face is open to it, and you feel the cool moisture settling on your skin like a gentle blessing. This is what it means to be alive in the rain. You are no longer separated from the storm by fabric walls. You are part of it now, breathing its humid air, feeling its coolness, hearing its voice with nothing between you and its presence. The forest around you is alive with water. Every surface catches and reflects the dim morning light. Drops hang from spider webs like tiny crystal beads. Streams of water run down tree trunks like slow rivers. The air itself seems to shimmer with moisture, creating a soft haze that makes the trees look ethereal and dreamlike. You begin to take down your tent. Each stake comes out of the soft earth easily, slick with rain and mud. The fabric is heavy with water, but not uncomfortably so, just enough to remind you that it has been doing its job all night, shedding the rain that would otherwise have soaked you. As you work, you become more aware of your body's relationship to the rain. Your jacket keeps your torso dry, but your hands get wet as you handle the tent stakes and fabric. The water on your fingers is cool but not unpleasant. It connects you directly to the storm, makes you a participant rather than just an observer. You shake the water from the tent fabric before folding it. The drops fly in all directions, some landing back on you, some joining the water that already covers every surface in the forest. You are returning water to water, part of the circulation that moves through all things. Your movements are slow and deliberate. There is something meditative about taking down a tent in the rain. The careful handling of wet fabric, the systematic dismantling of temporary shelter, the gradual return of the space to its natural state. You are erasing your presence from this spot, leaving it as you found it. The rain continues its gentle drumming on the leaves above. As you work, you listen to its voice, sometimes stronger, sometimes softer, but always present. It has become the soundtrack to your morning, the rhythm that underlies every action, every breath, every movement. You pack the wet tent into your backpack. It will be heavier now, and it will make some of your other gear damp. But this is part of camping in the rain. You accept the trade-offs, the extra weight, the humidity in your pack, in exchange for the experience of being present in the storm. When the tent is packed away, you stand in the clearing where it had been. The ground shows barely any sign of your presence, just slight compressions in the leaf, litter where your tent had pressed against the earth. In a few hours, even these small marks will be washed away by the rain or covered by falling leaves. This is what it means to move lightly through the world. You hoist your pack onto your shoulders, heavier now with the wet tent, but still manageable. The weight settles familiar against your back, and you adjust the straps until the load feels balanced and comfortable. You are ready to walk deeper into the forest. But first, you pause and look around the clearing that has been your home for the night. The trees that sheltered you stand tall and patient, their branches still dripping with rain. The earth that supported you continues to drink in the water from the sky. You feel a quiet gratitude for this place. It has provided exactly what you needed. Level ground for your tent, protection from the wind, a sense of enclosure and safety. Now you will leave it behind, but it will remain here, ready to shelter other travelers, other seekers, other people who need a quiet place to rest. You begin walking deeper into the trees. The forest path, such as it is, winds between the trunks, following the natural contours of the land. Your feet find purchase on the wet earth, sometimes slipping slightly on leaves made slick by rain, but always finding stability. The rain falls on your hood now, a gentler version of the drumming you heard on your tent walls. Each drop that hits the waterproof fabric makes a small sound, and together they create a personal percussion that travels with you as you walk. You are carrying your own rain music now, part of the larger symphony, but with your own unique rhythm. The air is thick with moisture and rich with scents. Each breath brings new fragrances. The green smell of rain-washed leaves, the earthy aroma of wet soil, the clean scent of water itself. You breathe deeply as you walk, drawing the essence of the rain-soaked forest into your lungs. This is forest breathing. Not just your breathing, but the breathing of the entire ecosystem. The way plants absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen. The way soil processes organic matter. The way water cycles between earth and sky and back again. You are part of this respiration, this circulation of life. Your footsteps make soft sounds on the wet path. Sometimes a quiet squelch as your boots sink slightly into muddy spots. Sometimes a soft rustle as you walk through wet leaves. Sometimes barely any sound at all as you step on patches of moss that compress silently under your weight. You move like water yourself, following the path of least resistance, flowing around obstacles, adapting to the terrain without fighting it. The trees around you seem to lean closer in the rain, not threatening, but protective, as if the forest is drawing inward, creating more intimate spaces, smaller clearings, cozier pathways. The visibility is reduced by the mist and rain, making everything feel closer, more immediate, more present. You walk between two large trees whose branches form a natural archway. As you pass beneath them, water drips from the leaves onto your shoulders, a gentle benediction, a blessing from the trees that have stood here far longer than you have been alive. You pause for a moment, under their canopy, feeling the history of this place, the patience of these ancient guardians. The rain falls more softly here, filtered through multiple layers of leaves and branches until it becomes almost a mist. You push back your hood and let this gentler rain touch your hair, your scalp, your face. The drops are barely perceptible individually, but together they create a coolness that is refreshing and alive. You continue walking, unhurried, present, part of the rain's own rhythm. Your breath creates small clouds in the cool air, visible proof of your life force mixing with the moisture that surrounds you. Each exhale adds to the humidity of the forest, becomes part of the mist that drifts between the trees. The path curves gently to the left, following the natural contours of a small hill. As you walk, you notice how the rain has transformed every texture in the forest. Bark that was rough yesterday is now smooth and dark with moisture. Leaves that were crisp are now soft and pliable. The earth itself has changed from firm to yielding, accepting your footsteps with gentle give rather than resistance. You pass a fallen log that spans across the path. The wood is dark with rain, its surface slick and glistening. Moss grows along its length, bright green cushions that seem to glow in the dim forest light. Water beads on the moss like tiny jewels, each drop a perfect sphere that holds the grey sky within its curve. You step over the log carefully, mindful of the slippery surface, aware of your body's balance and the weight of your pack. On the other side, you pause and look back at the fallen tree. It is not an obstacle, but a feature of the landscape, part of the forest's endless cycle of growth and decay, standing and falling, life and decomposition that feeds new life. The rain continues its patient work on this log, slowly breaking down the wood fibers, helping the moss and lichens establish themselves, gradually returning the tree to the soil from which it originally grew. You are witnessing time itself, not in a hurry, not dramatic, but persistent and inevitable as the rain that enables it. You walk on, deeper into the forest, deeper into the morning, deeper into your own presence in this rain-soaked world. The sound of your footsteps mingles with the sound of rain on leaves, two rhythms that complement each other without competing. You are walking to the beat of the storm, your pace naturally synchronized with the tempo of drops falling through branches. A bird calls somewhere ahead of you, not a song, but a simple statement of presence. The call echoes briefly among the tree trunks, before being absorbed by the soft, wet air. You listen for an answer, but hear none. Perhaps this bird is content to speak into the rain without need for response, adding its voice to the forest's morning conversation. You understand this impulse, to speak not because anyone is listening, but because the rain itself deserves acknowledgement, deserves to know that its gift of moisture is received and appreciated. The path begins to descend gently, following the slope of the land down toward what you sense might be a stream or small valley. Your steps become slightly more careful on the wet ground. Sometimes your boots find firm purchase on rocks or roots. Sometimes they sink slightly into the soft earth that has been saturated by hours of steady rain. You adjust to each surface without thinking, your body automatically finding balance, your legs making the small corrections needed to walk safely on slippery terrain. This is wilderness walking, not hiking aggressively toward a destination, but moving meditatively through changing conditions. The air grows even more humid as you descend. You can feel the moisture settling on your skin. Not unpleasant, but present. Your rain jacket keeps your body dry, but your face and hands are part of the storm now, accepting the gentle coating of water that connects you to everything else the rain is touching. You hear the sound of running water ahead, not a large river, but something smaller, perhaps a stream swollen by the night's rain, or a temporary flow created by water collecting and seeking its path toward lower ground. The sound is musical and alive, adding a new melody to the rain's percussion. You follow the path as it curves toward the sound. Through the trees, you catch glimpses of moving water, dark and quick, flowing round rocks and fallen branches, carrying leaves and small debris on its surface. This is rain in motion, no longer falling, but flowing, seeking its way back to larger streams, rivers, eventually the ocean. You reach the edge of the stream and stop to watch. The water is clear but dark. Tinted by the forest floor it has flowed across, carrying the essence of earth and leaves and bark in its current. It moves with purpose, but without urgency, following the path that gravity and geology have created for it. This is another form of forest breathing, water that fell as rain on the canopy above, collected and pooled on leaves and branches, dripped to the forest floor, soaked into the earth, and now emerges as flowing water, carrying the life of the forest with it as it moves toward distant destinations. You kneel by the stream's edge, careful not to let your knees sink too deeply into the soft, wet earth. You cup your hands and collect some of the stream water, cold and clean and alive with the energy of movement. You drink it slowly, tasting the essence of the forest, mineral and earthy and pure. This water has been rain, has been part of trees and soil and moss, and now it becomes part of you. The circle continues. You remain kneeling by the stream for several minutes, listening to its voice, watching its movement, feeling its coolness on your hands. There is something hypnotic about running water, the way it follows the same path, but is never exactly the same, the way it sounds consistent, but is always changing, like the rain itself, familiar but never repetitive, steady but always variable. You rise slowly and look for a way to cross the stream. A few yards downstream, a fallen branch creates a natural bridge, slick with rain but wide enough to walk across if you are careful and take your time. You approach it slowly, testing its stability with your weight before committing to the crossing. The branch holds firm under your feet. You walk across slowly, one step at a time, your arms slightly extended for balance, your attention focused on the placement of each foot on the wet wood. Below you, the stream chatters and flows, indifferent to your crossing, but somehow supportive of it. On the other side, you pause and look back at the stream. It will continue flowing whether you are there to see it or not, carrying rain toward distant rivers, feeding the roots of trees along its banks, creating music for anyone who stops to listen. You have been a brief witness to its journey, a momentary participant in the forest's circulation of water. You continue walking, following the path as it leads away from the stream and back up a gentle slope. Your boots find better purchase on the rising ground, and you settle back into the rhythm of forest walking. Not fast, not slow, but perfectly matched to the pace of the rain and the breathing of the trees around you. The mist grows thicker as you walk, not a dense fog, but a gentle presence that softens all the edges of the forest. Trees fade into grey-green shadows at the limits of your vision. The path ahead disappears into soft uncertainty that is not threatening but mysterious, full of possibilities. This is weather that asks you to trust, to walk into limited visibility with confidence that the path will continue, that the forest will hold you, that each step will find solid ground even when you cannot see far ahead. You pull your hood back up as the rain becomes slightly more present. The drops make gentle tapping sounds on the waterproof fabric, a personal rhythm that accompanies you as you walk. You are carrying your own small drum beat now, part of the larger percussion section of the storm. Your breathing creates visible puffs in the cool, humid air. Each exhale is a small cloud that rises and dissolves into the mist around you. You are contributing to the forest's atmosphere, adding your warm breath to the cool moisture that drifts between the trees. This is what it means to be part of the forest's breathing, not separate from the circulation of air and water, but part of it, drawing oxygen from the plants around you, releasing carbon dioxide that feeds their growth, participating in the endless exchange that sustains all life. The path levels out and begins to curve through a grove of particularly tall trees. These are old-growth giants, their trunks massive and deeply furrowed, their branches reaching up beyond the limits of your vision into the misty canopy. They stand like pillars in a vast natural cathedral, patient and enduring, witnesses to decades of storms and seasons. You walk more slowly here, not from difficulty, but from reverence. These trees have stood in this place since before you were born, since before your parents were born. They have weathered countless storms, endured droughts and floods, adapted to changes in climate and season that you can barely imagine. The rain falls on them now as it has fallen for decades, patient and persistent, feeding their growth, washing their bark, contributing to the slow, steady accumulation of wood and height and strength that defines their existence. You place your hand on the bark of one of these ancient trees. Even through your wet glove, you can feel the texture, deeply grooved and roughened by years of growth and weather. The surface is cold and slick with rain, but beneath it you sense the living wood, the slow circulation of sap, the patient metabolism of a being that measures time in seasons rather than heartbeats. You stand with your hand on the tree for several minutes, breathing with it, sharing the rain that falls on both of you, feeling part of the larger community of living things that make their home in this forest. When you finally lift your hand and continue walking, you carry some of the tree's patience with you. The grove opens into a small meadow, or what would be a meadow in different weather. Now it is a gentle depression filled with mist and the sound of rain on grass and wildflowers. The visibility is limited, but you can sense the openness around you, the way the sound changes when there are fewer trees to catch and channel it. You walk across the meadow slowly, your feet finding the soft, wet grass beneath them. Wildflowers emerge from the mist like small apparitions, their colors muted by the gray light but still present, blues and purples and yellows that seem to glow softly in the humid air. Each flower is heavy with collected raindrops, bending slightly under the weight of the water it has gathered. This is a garden tended by rain. No human hand has planted these flowers or weeded around them. They grow where the conditions suit them, where the soil is right, where the light penetrates the canopy, where the natural cycles of the forest create spaces for their particular needs. The rain feeds them as it feeds everything else, indiscriminately, patiently, without judgment or preference. You pause in the center of the meadow and turn slowly around. In every direction, the forest fades into mist, not ending, but becoming mysterious, full of possibilities. You cannot see the edges of this open space, cannot determine exactly how large it is or what lies beyond its boundaries. This is perfect. You are standing in a small world, defined not by sight, but by sound and breath, and the feel of rain on your jacket. The meadow exists for you only in the present moment. What you can sense right now, right here, without need to see or understand everything at once. You close your eyes and listen to the rain falling on grass. It makes a different sound than rain on leaves, or rain on your tent, or rain on your jacket. Softer, more absorbed, like whispers being spoken into pillows. The grass drinks the rain as it falls, and the sound is the voice of that drinking. When you open your eyes, you continue across the meadow. On the far side, the path enters the trees again, or at least you assume it does. In the mist, you cannot see clearly where grass ends and forest begins. You follow the subtle signs, the feeling under your feet, the slight changes in the quality of light, the way the sound shifts as trees begin to surround you again. The forest welcomes you back. The rain on leaves resumes its familiar percussion, and you feel the subtle sense of enclosure that comes from walking among trees. Your world becomes smaller and more intimate again, defined by the trunks you can see emerging from the mist ahead of you. You walk for what might be minutes or might be an hour. Time moves differently in the rain and mist, not slowly or quickly, but in a rhythm that belongs to weather rather than clocks. You measure progress not by distance covered, but by the gradual changes in the forest bound you, the subtle shifts in terrain and vegetation. The path begins to climb again, gently but steadily. Your breathing deepens slightly with the effort, and you feel your heart rate increase just enough to warm your body from the inside. The rain on your jacket continues its gentle drumming, and you realize that you have become completely comfortable with being wet, not soaked, but touched by water, connected to the storm. This is what adaptation feels like. Not fighting the conditions, but finding ways to exist comfortably within them. Your rain gear keeps you dry where dryness matters. Your acceptance keeps you peaceful, where wetness is simply part of the experience. The trees thin slightly as you climb, not into another clearing, but into a more open forest, where the canopy is higher and the understory more sparse. The light is brighter here, still, grey and diffused, but with more of the day's illumination filtering through the rain and mist. You can see farther now, perhaps 50 yards ahead instead of 20. The path winds between widely spaced trees, following the contours of what appears to be a ridge or elevated area. Your steps find better purchase on the ground here. Less mud, more exposed roots and rocks that provide stable footing. You pause to rest and look back the way you have come. The path disappears into mist after just a few yards, your recent footsteps erased from view by the limited visibility. It is as if you have emerged from a dream into waking, or stepped through a veil from one world into another. But the rain continues, your constant companion, your connection to the world you have just walked through. You can hear it differently here in the more open forest, less absorbed by thick vegetation, more echoing among the widely spaced tree trunks. It creates a sense of space and openness, even in the limited visibility. You drink some water and eat a small snack. Simple food that tastes exceptionally good in the cool, humid air. Everything seems more flavorful when you are hiking in the rain, as if the moisture in the air awakens your senses, makes you more aware of taste and texture and temperature. You eat slowly, savoring each bite, grateful for the fuel that keeps your body warm and energetic. The rain falls on your hood as you eat, a gentle reminder of where you are, what you are part of. You are not observing the storm from inside a building or vehicle. You are part of it, breathing its air, feeling its coolness, listening to its voice, letting it shape your experience of this forest morning. When you finish eating, you pack your food away carefully and continue walking. The path curves to the right now, following the edge of the ridge. Through the trees on your left, you sense, rather than see, a drop-off, a valley or depression that falls away from the elevated ground you are walking on. You cannot see into this lower area because of the mist, but you can feel its presence, the way sound changes when there is open space nearby, the subtle shift in air pressure, the intuitive sense of depth that comes from spending time in wild places. This adds another dimension to your walk. You are not just moving through forest, but moving along the edge between different kinds of space. The intimate enclosure of the trees around the path, and the open mystery of the valley below. The rain falls into both spaces, connecting them, making them part of the same weather system. A drop of water falls from a branch and lands on your cheek. It is cool and clean and startling in its directness, a small, perfect connection between the sky and your skin. You don't wipe it away immediately, but let it sit there for a moment, feeling its coolness, acknowledging this small gift from the storm. This is what it means to be blessed by rain, not protected from it, but touched by it, allowed to participate in its patient work of watering the earth, feeding the plants, sustaining the endless cycles of growth and renewal that make life possible. The path begins to descend again, gently at first, then more noticeably as you walk farther. You are leaving the ridge now, heading down into whatever lies in the valley below. Your steps become more careful on the wet ground, and you use trees and rocks to help maintain your balance on the steeper sections. The mist grows thicker as you descend. Cooler air has settled in the lower elevations, and the humidity is almost tangible now. You feel like you are walking through clouds, surrounded by moisture so dense it seems to have weight and substance. This is the breath of the valley itself, cool air mixing with warm rain. creating conditions perfect for mist and fog, and the kind of atmospheric moisture that makes everything seem soft and dreamlike. You are walking through weather now, not just experiencing it from outside, but moving through it as if it were a physical medium. The trees around you become indistinct in the thick mist. They appear and disappear like gentle ghosts, present and substantial when you are close enough to touch them, fading to gray suggestions when they are more than a few yards away. You navigate by the path under your feet and the sense of direction that comes from paying attention to subtle changes in terrain. This is walking by faith rather than sight, trusting the path to continue, trusting your feet to find stable ground, trusting the forest to hold you even when you cannot see clearly where you are going. The rain provides a constant reference point, its sound and feel anchoring you to the present moment, even when the visual world becomes uncertain. You walk more slowly now, not from fear, but from appropriate caution. The thick mist demands a different kind of attention, a more careful relationship with each step, each breath, each moment. You cannot see what lies ahead, so you pour your awareness into what is immediate. The ground beneath your feet, the air entering your lungs, the sound of rain on your jacket. This is perfect mindfulness, not achieved through effort or technique, but arising naturally from the conditions around you. When visibility is limited, presence becomes automatic. When the future is uncertain, the present moment becomes absolutely clear and essential. The path levels out, and you sense that you have reached the bottom of the valley. The air is warmer here, not hot, but noticeably less cool than it was on the ridge above. The mist seems even thicker, and you can hear the sound of running water somewhere nearby. Perhaps another stream, or the same stream you crossed earlier, following its course toward lower ground. You follow the path as it curves toward the sound of water. Through the thick mist, you begin to make out the dark line of a creek or small river. The water moves slowly here in the valley bottom, not rushing like the stream you crossed on higher ground, but flowing with the patient persistence of water that has found its level. You approach the water's edge carefully. The bank is soft and muddy, saturated by rain and the proximity of flowing water. Your boots sink slightly into the wet earth as you walk, leaving clear impressions that will fill with water as soon as you lift your feet. The stream is wider here than where you crossed it before, or perhaps this is different water entirely. Another tributary in the forest's network of flowing moisture. You cannot see the far bank clearly in the mist, but you can hear the water's voice, deeper and more resonant than the higher stream, speaking in the lower register that comes with greater volume and slower flow. You kneel by the water's edge and listen. This is the voice of accumulated rain, thousands of drops that fell on leaves and bark and earth, collected and channeled and gathered into this flowing present. The stream carries the voices of all the places the rain has touched, all the surfaces it has washed, all the roots it has fed. You dip your hand into the flowing water. It is cool but not cold, warmed by its journey through the forest, by its time in contact with earth and air. You cup some in your palm and drink it, tasting the essence of the entire watershed, the combined flavors of soil and leaves, and bark and stone. This water has been rain, and before that it was ocean, and before that it was clouds, and before that it was rain again. Part of the endless cycle that connects all water everywhere, that makes every drop you drink a participant in the planet's circulation system. You sit by the stream for a long time, listening to its voice, watching what you can see of its movement through the mist, feeling its presence as a living artery of the forest. The rain continues to fall around you, gentler now, almost imperceptible except for the sound it makes on leaves and water. Some of the drops that are falling now will join this stream, will become part of its voice, will carry the forest's essence toward distant destinations. This is continuity made visible. The rain that woke you this morning, that drummed on your tent through the night, that has accompanied you on your walk through the forest, all of it is part of this larger circulation, this patient movement of water from sky to earth, to stream, to river, to sea, and back to sky again. You are witnessing eternity, not as an abstract concept, but as the actual physical process of water moving through its endless cycle. When you finally rise from the stream's edge, you feel like you are carrying part of its patience with you. The path continues along the creek for a while, sometimes close to the water, sometimes turning away into the trees, but always returning. You walk in the company of flowing water now, your footsteps keeping time with its quiet voice. The mist begins to thin slightly as you walk, not clearing completely, but becoming less dense, allowing you to see a little farther into the forest around you. The trees emerge more clearly from the gray atmosphere, and you begin to make out the shapes of hills or elevated ground rising on either side of the valley. You are walking in the heart of the forest now, not on its edges or approaches, but in its center, the place where streams flow and mist gathers, where the canopy is thickest and the air is most humid, where rain collects and pools and feeds the deep roots of ancient trees. This is the forest's secret place, the hidden valley where water gathers before flowing toward the outside world. You feel privileged to be here, not because access is restricted, but because finding this place requires the kind of patient walking that most people are not willing to undertake. You have earned your presence here through your willingness to move slowly through rain and mist, to trust the path when visibility is limited, to be comfortable with uncertainty. The stream beside you makes a gentle turn to the left, following the contours of the valley floor. You follow it, letting the water guide your direction as much as the path does. There is something perfect about walking beside flowing water in the rain. Two forms of the same element moving at different speeds, but in harmony with each other. You notice that your breathing has synchronized with the sound of the stream, not consciously, but naturally, the way breathing always adapts to rhythmic sounds when you are relaxed and present. You are breathing with the water now, part of the same pulse that moves through the forest. A bird calls from somewhere in the mist ahead of you. Not an alarm call, but a simple statement of presence. A voice adding itself to the conversation between rain and water and wind in the trees. The call echoes briefly before being absorbed by the humid air. but it adds another layer to the forest's morning music. You call back softly, not imitating the bird's song, but simply responding with your own voice, acknowledging that you have heard and received its greeting. Your voice sounds different in the thick, moist air, more muffled, more intimate, as if the mist itself is softening all the sharp edges of sound. The stream curves again, and you follow it around a bend where the path moves slightly away from the water. Here, the forest floor is particularly soft and spongy, covered with layers of decomposing leaves that have accumulated in this sheltered spot over many seasons. Your feet sink slightly into the rich, dark earth with each step. This is the forest composting itself, returning the nutrients from fallen leaves to the soil that feeds living roots. You are walking on decades of autumn, layer upon layer of leaves that fell in other years, during other rains, creating the deep, rich soil that supports the towering trees around you. The rain falling now will help this process continue, breaking down this year's fallen leaves, returning their nutrients to the earth, feeding the cycles of growth and decay that sustain all forest life. Buse and Neo to examine the forest floor more closely. Through the decomposing leaves, you can see the rich, dark soil beneath. Not just dirt, but living earth, full of microscopic organisms. Fungal networks, the complex web of relationships that connects every plant in the forest to every other plant. You are walking on top of the forest's nervous system, the underground network of roots and fungi and bacteria that allows trees to communicate with each other, to share nutrients, to warn each other of dangers, to support each other through difficult seasons. This is community made visible, not the individual trees competing with each other, but the forest as a single, interconnected organism, sharing resources, supporting its weaker members, maintaining the conditions that allow all its parts to thrive. The rain feeds this community as much as it feeds individual plants, maintaining the moisture levels that keep the underground networks functioning, supporting the decomposition processes that recycle nutrients, enabling the chemical communications that flow between trees. You rise and continue walking, more aware now of the living community beneath your feet. Each step is a gentle interaction with this network, your weight pressing briefly on the forest floor, your passage noted and accommodated by the resilient web of relationships that makes the forest's life possible. The path curves back toward the stream, and you hear the water's voice growing stronger again. Not because the stream is larger, but because you are approaching a place where it flows over rocks or fallen logs, creating the kind of gentle turbulence that makes water sing more clearly. You emerge from the trees to find the stream flowing round a series of moss-covered boulders. The water splits and rejoins around these obstacles, creating multiple voices that harmonize with each other. Some water rushes quickly around the narrower channels, while other water pools and eddies in the calmer spaces between rocks. This is water dancing with stone, not fighting against the obstacles, but finding ways to flow around them, to incorporate them into its movement, to make them part of its song. You sit on one of the larger rocks and watch the water flow around you. Your perch is stable and dry enough. The rock's surface above the water level, though still wet with rain and mist. From here you can see several yards of the stream as it navigates this rocky section. Can hear the individual voices that different channels of water create. This is a perfect place to rest and listen. The rain continues to fall gently around you, adding its voice to the water's song, contributing new drops to the stream's flow, maintaining the moisture that keeps the moss on the rocks green and soft. You close your eyes and let the sound of flowing water fill your awareness. There is something hypnotic about the voice of a stream, complex, enough to hold your attention, consistent enough to induce a trance-like state of relaxation. You could sit here for hours, letting the water's music wash away thoughts and worries, the way rain washes dust from leaves. This is meditation without effort, presence that arises naturally from sitting beside flowing water in the rain. Your breathing deepens and slows, matching the patient rhythm of water, moving around stone. Your heartbeat seems to synchronize with the deeper pulses in the stream's voice. You become part of the water's song, another instrument in the forest's morning orchestra. When you open your eyes, the mist seems lighter, not clearing completely, but becoming more translucent, more like gauze than wool. You can see farther along the stream now, can make out the shapes of larger trees on the far bank, can glimpse the path as it continues beyond this rocky section. But you are in no hurry to continue walking. This is one of those moments that asks to be fully experienced. Sitting on a moss-covered rock beside flowing water, while rain falls gently through mist-filled forest. These moments are gifts that cannot be planned or predicted, only recognized and received when they occur. You drink some water from your bottle and eat another small snack. The food tastes even better here beside the stream, as if being surrounded by flowing water awakens your appreciation for the moisture in your own body, makes you more aware of your participation in the same cycles that move water through the forest. A fish jumps in the deeper pool below the rocks, just a small splash and ring of ripples, but enough to remind you that this stream is not just flowing water, but a living habitat. Fish that swim in rain-fed streams, insects that lay their eggs in still pools, plants that grow along the banks, all of them part of the community that water creates and sustains. The rain that falls on your jacket also falls into their world, shaping their lives as much as it shapes your experience of walking through the forest. You are all part of the same weather system. The rain begins to lighten even more, becoming almost imperceptible, except for the continued sound of drops hitting leaves and water. This might be the storm's way of saying goodbye, gradually reducing its presence rather than stopping abruptly. The mist remains, but the act of precipitation becomes gentler and gentler, like a conversation slowly winding down. You rise from your rocky seat and prepare to continue walking. As you stand, water drips from your jacket and pack, small contributions to the stream that has been your companion for the past hour. You are returning water to water, rain to flow, temporary separation to eternal circulation. The path continues along the stream's edge, sometimes close enough to touch the water, sometimes winding slightly inland, but always remaining within the sound of flowing water. You walk more slowly now, not from fatigue, but from a deeper relaxation that has come from sitting beside the stream. Your steps are softer, more careful, more attuned to the ground beneath your feet. You feel like you are walking with the forest now, rather than through it, part of its morning rhythms, synchronized with its patterns of sound and movement. The mist continues to thin gradually as you walk. Trees become more distinct, the path more visible ahead of you, the edges by the valley more defined against the lighter sky. You are not leaving the storm behind, but the storm is evolving, changing its nature while maintaining its essential presence. This is how weather moves through the forest, not in dramatic shifts, but in gradual transitions that honor both what was and what is becoming. You walk on through the lightning mist, breathing with the forest, moving with the stream, part of the rain's patient conversation with the earth. Your footsteps join the percussion section of the morning's music, small sounds that blend with water and wind and the distant calls of birds beginning to move through the trees. This is the forest's breath made audible, the sound of life continuing its ancient rhythms, welcoming the rain that sustains it, grateful for visitors who move slowly enough to hear its voice. And you are part of that voice now. Your breathing, your footsteps, your presence adding to the morning's symphony. The stream flows beside you, patient and persistent, carrying the forest's essence toward distant destinations. The mist drifts around you, soft and embracing, the forest's breath made visible. The rain touches you gently, connecting you to the sky, to the earth, to the endless circulation that sustains all life. You walk on through the forest's morning prayer, and you are held. The rain has become a whisper now. You walk through the forest in what feels like the pause between breaths, not silence, but the gentlest possible presence of falling water. Each drop seems to hesitate before letting go of its leaf or branch, taking time to gather weight and courage before completing its journey to the earth. The mist wraps around you like soft fabric, not heavy or restricting, but present enough to make the forest feel intimate and enclosed. You can see perhaps 20 feet in any direction before the world dissolves into gray-white uncertainty that is not threatening, but mysterious, full of possibilities you cannot yet perceive. Your footsteps make almost no sound on the forest floor. The earth has absorbed so much rain over the past hours that it has become soft and yielding, a living carpet that accepts each step with gentle give. Fallen leaves have been soaked into pliability, moss has swollen with moisture, and the soil itself seems to breathe with the rhythm of water cycling between surface and depth. You pause beside a particularly large tree, one of the forest giants whose trunk disappears upward into the mist above. When you place your hand against its bark, you can feel the moisture that coats every surface, not running water, but a fine film of humidity that makes everything in the forest feel alive and responsive to touch. The bark is cool and slightly soft under your palm, made more tactile by the persistent dampness. You can feel the tree's aliveness through your hand, not dramatically, but subtly. The sense of something vast and patient and deeply rooted, continuing its slow work of growth and photosynthesis, and the quiet circulation of life. This tree has been breathing with the forest for decades, taking in carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen, participating in the endless exchange that sustains all life. The rain that touches you now has also touched this tree, falling on its leaves, running down its bark, pooling round its roots. You are part of the same water cycle, the same community of living things that the forest sustains, and that sustain the forest in return. You continue walking, following the path as it curves away from the stream and deeper into the heart of the woods. The sound of flowing water gradually fades behind you, becoming part of the background music of the forest rather than the dominant melody. Other sounds emerge to take its place. The soft drip of water falling from branch to branch, the gentle rustle of leaves heavy with moisture, the distant call of a bird exploring the misty morning. Your breathing creates small clouds in the cool air. Each exhale is visible for just a moment before it merges with the mist around you, your breath becoming part of the forest's atmosphere, your life force mixing with the humid air that sustains all the plants and animals that make their home here. This is what it means to belong to a place, to contribute your breath to its air, your footsteps to its paths, your presence to the community of living things that share its spaces. The path begins to climb gently, not steeply, but with enough grade that you feel your heart rate increase slightly and your breathing deepen to match the increased effort. As you walk uphill, the mist seems to thicken around you, or perhaps you are climbing into the cloud itself, entering the layer of atmosphere where water vapor condenses into the visible moisture that has been drifting through the forest all morning. This is like walking through the sky, not the distant, untouchable sky of clear weather, but sky that has descended to earth level, cloud that you can walk through, breathe, feel on your skin. The boundary between earth and atmosphere becomes blurred when mist is this thick, this present. You move more slowly now, partly because of the gentle climb, partly because the limited visibility asks for a different kind of attention. When you cannot see far ahead, each step becomes more important, more conscious. You pay attention to the feel of the ground under your feet, to the subtle clues that indicate where the path continues, to the rhythm of your own breathing and heartbeat as you move through this white-gray world. The trees around you seem to emerge from and disappear into the mist like gentle spirits. One moment you are walking alone through gray emptiness. The next moment a massive trunk materializes beside you, solid and real and comforting in its permanence. Then, as you continue walking, it fades back into the mist behind you, returning to the realm of suggestion and possibility. This is walking through dreams made visible. The forest exists in layers of reality now. What you can touch is absolutely real and present. What you can see dimly is probably real. What you cannot see might be real or might be imagination. The mist creates a world where the boundaries between actual and possible become fluid and uncertain. Yules love this uncertainty, not the anxiety of being lost, but the peaceful surrender of not needing to see everything at once. The mist asks you to trust, to put one foot in front of the other without knowing exactly what lies ahead, to move forward with confidence that the path will continue, that the forest will hold you, that each step will find solid ground. The rain continues its barely perceptible presence. Individual drops are almost impossible to detect now, but you can feel the cumulative effect, the way moisture settles on your jacket, beads on the fabric of your pack, collects on any exposed skin. You are not getting wet in any uncomfortable way, but you are definitely getting damper, more connected to the humidity that fills the forest air. This is perfect rain for walking, not heavy enough to soak you or limit your movement, not light enough to disappear entirely, just present enough to remind you that you are part of weather, part of the atmospheric conditions that shape this forest morning, part of the water cycle that connects you to every plant and stream and cloud. The path levels out, and you sense that you have reached some kind of plateau or flat area. The trees seem more widely spaced here. Not a clearing exactly, but a more open forest where the canopy is higher and the understory less dense. The mist moves differently in this space, not trapped between close-growing trees, but flowing more freely, creating currents and eddies that you can almost see. You pause and turn slowly around, trying to get a sense of this place. The limited visibility makes it impossible to determine the size or exact nature of the area you have entered, but there is definitely a feeling of more space, more openness. The sound of your breathing seems less contained, and when you shuffle your feet experimentally, the sound doesn't echo off nearby tree trunks. This might be a natural meadow, or a place where some long-ago disturbance created an opening in the forest canopy. Whatever caused it, the space has a different quality than the closer forest you have been walking through. The mist here feels less intimate, more expansive, as if you have moved from a small room into a large hall, both spaces equally shrouded but differently proportioned. You begin to walk across this open area slowly, trusting your feet to find stable ground, using the subtle changes in vegetation underfoot to guide your direction. Here, the path is less distinct, not disappeared, but integrated into the natural patterns of the space rather than cutting clearly through them. You follow what feels like the most natural line of travel, moving toward what you sense might be the far side of the opening. As you walk, you notice that the light is different here, not brighter exactly, but less filtered, as if more of the gray morning illumination is reaching ground level without being absorbed by multiple layers of leaves and branches. The mist itself seems to glow faintly with this diffused light, creating an atmosphere that is both ethereal and peaceful. You are walking through softness itself, soft light, soft air, soft ground that yields gently under each step. Your footsteps make barely any sound here, absorbed by grass and moss and the accumulated organic matter of many seasons. You feel like you are floating rather than walking, moving through a world made of whispers and suggestions rather than solid forms. A movement catches your eye in the mist ahead, not dramatic or sudden, but a gentle shift in the grey-white atmosphere, as if something slightly darker has moved across your field of vision. You stop and watch carefully, trying to determine if you actually saw something, or if the mist itself is creating optical illusions. There, again, a small dark shape moving slowly through the fog. You remain still and watch as the shape resolves into a deer, or rather, the dim outline of a deer moving carefully through the mist perhaps 30 feet away. The animal appears and disappears as it moves behind invisible trees or into thicker patches of fog, like a creature existing partially in this world. The deer seems unaware of your presence, or perhaps aware but unbothered by it. It moves with the patient, unhurried pace of an animal that belongs completely to this misty morning, that has no need to rush or worry or reach any particular destination. Its movement through the fog is like a meditation on presence, each step deliberate and mindful, each pause full of attention to sounds and scents you cannot detect. You watch the deer until it fades completely into the mist, not walking away exactly, but becoming gradually less visible until it merges entirely with the grey-white atmosphere around it. You feel privileged to have witnessed this appearance, this brief sharing of the forest morning with a creature that belongs here more completely than you do, that knows the secret rhythms and hidden pathways of this place in ways you can only begin to imagine. The encounter leaves you even more quiet, more careful in your own movement through this hushed landscape, to continue across the open area, walking now with even greater awareness of your footsteps, your breathing, your presence in this space that clearly belongs as much to the deer and other forest creatures as it does to any human visitor. The mist seems to part slightly ahead of you, not clearing dramatically, but becoming less dense, allowing you to see a little farther into the grey, white distance. Through this slight clearing, you can make out the dark shapes of trees, marking what must be the far edge of the open area. The forest waits there, patient and welcoming, ready to enfold you again in its more intimate embrace. But before you reach those trees, something else catches your attention. A tiny point of light, so small and brief that you almost convince yourself you imagined it. You stop and watch the space where you thought you saw the light. Nothing at first, just the gentle movement of mist and the soft grey illumination that fills the morning air. But then, there it is again. A small, cool light that appears for just a moment before disappearing. A firefly in the middle of the day, in the rain and mist. A firefly blinking its gentle message into the grey morning air. You watch more carefully now and see another one, and then another. Small points of light appearing and disappearing in the mist, like stars blinking in and out of clouds. Not many of them, and not flashing frequently, but definitely present, adding their own quiet magic to the already dreamlike atmosphere of this fog-shrouded clearing. This is unexpected and wonderful. Fireflies in the rain, in the daylight filtered through heavy mist, creating a gentle light show that transforms the clearing into something even more magical than it already was. Their soft, cool lights seem to respond to the subdued illumination around them, as if the grey morning has awakened their desire to add their own small brightness to the world. You stand very still and watch these unlikely companions. Each firefly creates its own small beacon in the mist, a point of reference that appears briefly and then vanishes, leaving you slightly unsure of exactly where you saw it. The lights seem to move slowly through the fog, though whether the fireflies are flying or simply drifting with air currents is impossible to tell. This is like watching stars being born and disappearing in an accelerated universe. Each light a small miracle of bioluminescence, cutting through the grey uncertainty of the morning. You begin to walk again, slowly, carefully, not wanting to disturb these gentle creatures or break the spell of this magical encounter. As you move through the clearing, the fireflies seem to accompany you, not following exactly, but maintaining their presence around you. Their small lights appearing and disappearing in your peripheral vision like a constellation moving slowly through ground-level clouds. The experience is hypnotic and peaceful, walking through mist dotted with tiny, brief lights that ask nothing of you except appreciation and wonder. You have entered a fairy tale, the kind of story where ordinary forests become enchanted realms, where mist and light and gentle creatures create moments of magic for travelers wise enough to move slowly and pay attention. But this is not fiction. This is real mist, real fireflies, real first morning made extraordinary by the perfect combination of weather and light, and the patience to notice small wonders. You continue walking toward the trees at the far edge of the clearing. The fireflies become less frequent as you move, not disappearing, be entirely, but spacing their appearances farther apart, as if you are gradually leaving their preferred territory and returning to more ordinary forest space. You feel grateful for their brief companionship, for the reminder that the natural world is full of surprises, that even familiar places can reveal new kinds of beauty when conditions are exactly right. The mist begins to thin slightly as you approach the trees, not clearing completely, but becoming more transparent, allowing you to see the shapes of tree trunks more clearly, to make out the general direction of the path as it continues into the forest ahead. You pause at the edge of the clearing and look back. The open area behind you has become completely obscured by mist. Again, invisible except for the faint sense of space and openness you can feel at your back. The fireflies, if they are still there, are hidden in the grey-white atmosphere that fills the meadow. You carry the memory of their lights with you, small points of wonder that will remain bright in your mind long after. The mist has lifted and the morning has moved into afternoon. The forest accepts you back into its embrace as you continue on the path. The trees here seem different somehow, not different species, but different in mood or presence. Perhaps it is the effect of the fireflies, or the magical quality of the misty clearing. But the forest feels more alive now, more aware of your presence in a friendly rather than neutral way. You walk between the trunks with a sense of being welcomed rather than simply tolerated. The mist moves differently here among the trees, flowing around trunks and through branches in patterns that seem almost intentional, almost choreographed. You watch it curl and eddy and drift, creating temporary sculptures of vapor that form and dissolve as you walk. This is air made visible, the breath of the forest itself, the circulation of moisture and oxygen that connects every living thing in this ecosystem. You are breathing this same air, adding your own exhalations to the mix, participating in the endless exchange of gases that sustains plant and animal life. The mist makes this invisible process visible, showing you the medium through which all forest communication and sustenance flows. The path winds gently downhill now, not steeply, but with enough the path drifts downward. The forest grows quieter. The rain becomes only a whisper. You find a gentle place to rest. The ground is soft. The trees stand watch. The night gathers around you like a blanket. Your breath slows. Your body loosens. The rain and the earth hold you in their rhythm. You close your eyes. The forest is still. The rain continues. You are safe. You are warm. You sleep.